This is a podcast or something like that. Hey, what's up? Well, if it isn't good audio, hello. Let me just get my notebook to write down how good the audio is. Good audio. Yes, I think it should be good. Oh, wait, hold on, my window's open. 1 second. All right. It was going to be good, but not too good, but now it will be too good. Welcome back to the Verbal Journal podcast. Now, we are recording in Ableton rather than Streamlabs. It's a huge change. Huge change. I always recorded in Streamlabs. I would just, as if I was going to live stream, I would just record. I don't know why I always did that with the podcast. There's never been a great reason. I just stuck with it because it was working. But now that there's some audio hitch I got to figure out, there was something to do with which audio channels it was using. Now, I hope I fixed it. I think I fixed it because I listened back. I tested it. It seems good. But you know what? If the audio is bad in this one too, we'll fix it for next time. It's, it's been 2 weeks in a row, and this would make it the third week, and that would be profoundly unacceptable. But you know what? I'm in a good mood today. So I'm just going to listen back one time. We're going to pause it right now, listen back one time, just triple check, and then we're going to continue on our merry way. Merry way, get it? Because it's Christmas Eve? Okay. Yeah, sounds good to me. It sure sounds good to me. So welcome back to the Verbal Journal podcast. I'm in a good mood today because... a few reasons. I have most of next week off work, so that's good. Not working tomorrow, not working till Friday, just seeing am I seeing 2 clients? 1 client on Friday. So very, very light work week. I have the privilege of taking time off when I want to, when I need to. That's a great thing. Oh, I wanted to save the document. Hold on. Yeah, it's episode 46, by the way, and I did guess that internally off mic before saving or creating the folder to save this Ableton live set in and titling the folder 46. I did guess it, okay? So I guessed the episode number. By the way, got something exciting coming up when we get to episode 48, so not next week, but the week after. It's going to be a public episode, because my first public episode was episode 24, and I put that one out on the public, I made it public, as they say. And that was so that, people who watch the YouTube channel could be like, wait, what the fuck? This dude has a podcast? I want to give him money. What the fuck? So I'm going to do that again every 24 episodes, I decided, because the first one was 24. So the second one will be 48. It'll be very cool. But this week and next week, it's just you and me. It's just you and me. Anyways, why am I in a good mood? Well, I'm in a good mood because I got a family member a chess.com membership for their for the holiday or for as a gift, and they play on chess.com. I like chess. I would never be caught dead on chess.com, but it's okay. To each their own, and I have to support my family member even if they have, weird sort of like preoccupations like that, I just think that's part of being a good family member. You support someone even when they're making really bad decisions, like using chess.com and stuff. So just to kind of prove that I'm a good, loving person, I figured, okay, well, I'll buy them a $80 platinum membership. You used to use the gold. The cheapest one used to get you the analysis, unlimited analysis of your games, but I think they realize that's the only thing anyone really needs or wants. So they gatekeep it behind the second least and second most expensive one. Anyways, $80 for a year. I figured I'll get them this membership. They'll feel like a king of the castle, and that will be nice. And I don't even know if they want it, but I think it's a good gift. But I never got a confirmation email from chess.com. Fucking garbage website. They can't even send you a confirmation email when you spend $80 on a gift on their website. They make it quite easy to give them money, and they don't send you a fucking confirmation email. So I created a support ticket, and I didn't get a confirmation email for that either. Luckily, and so at midnight last night I checked to see if it had given my family member the account upgrade, because I figured it happens at midnight. It didn't happen. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. Am I going to have to like... Am I going to have to get like a refund from chess.com? Am I going to have to like go like contact my fucking bank? Like what? Did I just get scammed? Like what? So anyways, I woke up today. First thing I did while still in bed, I checked my family member's chess.com account and it was platinum. And I was like, fuck yeah, yo. That's one of those wins where you're just like, fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, so feeling really good. It's a great way to start the day. I got a lot to talk about on the VJP. We're going to keep it nice and short, except that it's not going to be that short. I don't know why I said that. I just said that because, I don't know. Sound issues. I talked about that. Somerton apology. So that was a big update. I'm really happy that the audio is going to be good for this episode. I am genuinely sorry that the audio, like, I'm sorry not even to you. Like, I'm sorry to myself. It kind of sucks to record a whole episode last time that I actually thought was good and then be like, oh, it's pretty hard to listen to. Like, so that was unfortunate. I apologize about that. But I blame Elon Musk. Okay, so Somerton apology. So this is a sort of the big thing on the internet this week. Obviously, I talked about H-bomb dropping the A-bomb a few weeks ago. I sort of coined that phrase. H-bomb dropped the A-bomb. Pause for applause. So H-bomb dropped the A-bomb, and and then James Somerton. So this guy, he made an apology video. Which is when you apologize, but you film it. I mean, as soon as he posted it, it was just kind of pandemonium on the internet. It's like, holy shit, he posted it. The crazy thing about YouTube is like, even when someone makes so much money on YouTube and like is a business, it's also so individualistic and like, the Miranda Sings person, whatever her name is, Colleen Ballinger, I think she was very much like coordinating with her team about the way she did that non-apology. I mean, she had the whole premise of like, oh, my team told me they told me not to talk, so I sing, but I mean, I don't know. It certainly seemed a lot. I mean, it was literally a composed song with lyrics and chords. I have the feeling she ran that by her team. I think she just has a depraved set of people around her. James Somerton, I do not think ran his plan by anyone. Maybe he ran vague ideas of like, I'm going to make an apology video, and they thought he was ready to do it. So they were like, okay, man. But it really does seem like he did it completely on his own, which is just one of the fascinating things about YouTube is that, like, yeah, I can just, like, I can take my channel with 44,000 subscribers, which, by the way, that's a new milestone this week, 44K. And I could just upload myself right now, just, like, recording, like, a bunch of, like, I could just be, like, schmargler, schmargler, bragler, bligler. And then I could just record that for, like, 10 hours and upload it to my channel. Like, it's kind of amazing, really. Maybe I should do that more. I honestly do think, just a little side note, if I like broke the seal and uploaded something, I would probably start uploading more regularly again. Like I feel like if I had this whole idea of doing this like really, serious and important interview project that just hasn't panned out and might take some more months. But if I uploaded anything, I feel like it would make me start uploading again. So I don't know. But I also want it to be the right thing, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, so Somerton apologizes. I mean, it was obviously a bad apology. So fundamentally, he was talking a lot about, or I shouldn't say talking about. It's not the content. The content or the perspective, it was so much based in his own hurt and pain. And unfortunately, he hadn't really taken the time to get outside of his own hurt and pain to make an apology. You're not apologizing from a place of hurt. You're apologizing from a place of guilt. I mean, ideally. So if you're still in the hurt, you're not really going to access the necessary concepts, like the necessary guilt, and then you're not going to really understand. I mean, he clearly was not mentally well. And part of the reason I decided to not do a live stream watching the apology, because I was very tempted. It's something I'm very interested in, watching YouTuber apologies and analyzing them. And it's good content. People enjoy it, but I enjoy it. And it's like, I feel like it's a real service. I talked about it in my Breaking Bad video. I love apologies. I think they're some of the most fascinating things. Really, I want to be like an apologist. No, that means something else. Apologologist. That sounds right. I mean, yeah, he was very clearly unwell. I think he has a lot of issues to work out. It's not just like, oh, he wasn't ready to post it. Like, when I say that, it's almost like an understatement. Like, because he's like, it seems like he's almost like years developmentally away from being ready to figure out how to apologize. Like, he just doesn't come off like an adult. He doesn't come off like someone who understands what he's done. But I say that, but this is normal. Like, adults do this. Like, we regress to children when we're stressed out in certain certain ways. It was very difficult to watch him do that video. Obviously when people do the apologies, they do it raw. They don't edit. That makes sense. But it needs to be prepared. Like, somewhere in between James Somerton and Andrew Callahan, and like Miranda, Andrew Callahan, like, it felt like he was reading a prepared statement that he had talked about with his lawyer. He also didn't really do a good job of apologizing in the meat of it. He downplayed and he contradicted himself. James downplayed and contradicted himself. It was pretty shocking that James completely actually did blame his co-writer. Like, he didn't mince words. He blamed his co-writer. And then also said that he wasn't blaming his co-writer, which was bizarre, and definitely not true. I find it very hard to believe. Also, it doesn't matter. Like, if his co-writer was stealing with him, just to point this out, obviously James doesn't need to mention that in his video. That's totally not his business. He doesn't have to worry about that. He has to worry about what he's done wrong. One thing I found really interesting, I went through the comments on the video, and one of the reasons I didn't stream also about it is all the comments were already very good. Everybody understood everything and more that I picked up on. Like, one thing I didn't even pick up on, but people commented about, it was good, it slipped by me, was how fucked up it was for James Somerton to be like, oh, thanks so much, H-Bomb, for setting up that fund for the people who I wronged. He said it like 3 times. It's like, dude, like, that didn't even, I knew something felt off about it, but until I saw people comment about it, I didn't fully register like how fucking weird that is. Oh my God, thanks, and then, like, look, at the end of the day, James Somerton was trying to say he didn't have any money. He would go, oh, thanks, H-Bomb, for setting up this fund. I really wish I could, gosh, I wish I knew what to do about this fund. Oh, thanks for setting up the fund, H-Bomb. Huh, makes me think, what should I do in relation to a fund? James, you didn't spend all your money. Let's be real. You didn't spend all your money. No one believes you spent all your money. But if you did spend all your money, I mean, there's still got to be a way to raise money in a transparent way. I mean, he could set up a GoFundMe. I was trying to find H-Bomb's thing and I didn't look that hard, but I mean, James needs to get the money. He needs to find the money. I don't believe he doesn't have money. Oh, I saw another thing online recently where I won't go into the details, where someone did something wrong, and then the person they had wronged was like, okay, why don't you donate $1,000 to this cause, and I'll start to consider accepting your apology. I thought that was really interesting, and I thought I totally understood it. I really did. I think, $10,000 is a bit more ridiculous, but like trying to tell someone like, hey, put your money where your mouth is, and a reasonable amount of money. Obviously, not everyone has $1,000 to spend, but I don't know. I think it's not crazy to expect money to be a part of an amends process. And obviously, James stole money, but like at the very least, like he could admit what he did. Like he didn't admit what he did. It was obvious. He didn't say plagiarism. He didn't say I knowingly took people's content. He referred to it multiple times as like crediting issue, which is obviously not. Yeah, it's not about giving credit. It's about like it's about telling your audience what you're doing to them and what you're doing. I will say I commented on H-Bomb's video. My comment on the James Somerton video was I timestamped this one point where he goes, maybe I should have waited to upload this, or like maybe I shouldn't be making this right now. I just timestamped that, and then I said this is the truest part of the video. But my comment on H-Bomb's video was amazing video, and what did James spend his time doing? Because honestly, some of that plagiarism, took some amount of time, but it really takes so little time, to even exchange words when you're saving all the time of doing research. So what did he do with his time? I don't know. He must have things that just suck up all his time. I don't know. What is he run in circles for fun or something? This sort of leads into something I just wanted to mention, because I was rewatching parts of my Breaking Bad video, which I rewatch parts of my videos a lot. I don't rewatch the whole video because the guy makes videos that are way too long. It's really rude, but I do like rewatching my own stuff and reflecting on it. And I was rewatching the Breaking Bad video in the pro-forgetting versus anti-forgetting part. And I was just thinking to myself, okay, that's fun and a fun segment, but is that what I actually think? I never really, do I actually think people are pro-forgetting or anti-forgetting, even not in a fully binary way? Is that a general difference? And I got to give it more thought, but I kind of do think that. I kind of do think that some people function well letting memories slip out of their mind more, and it can be adaptive. And other people, but it's also certain types of memories, and other people don't want that to happen, just want to dwell on things, want to focus on things, and maybe it serves them better. I don't know. It's very complicated, and it must bring in a lot of different phenomenon. Why? Yeah, I guess why do you have some people who go through difficult things, never want to think about it again, and other people never want to stop thinking about it and feel like they always have to keep it close to them? Both strategies could be a way of protecting yourself and feeling safe. Whether it's through kind of clutching something close to you or pushing it away and kind of shutting your eyes to it. Even if it's painful, if you clutch it close to you and you remember it, you could feel safe, just a sense of control. But obviously, not thinking about things can give you a sense of safety and control as well if you don't want to think about them. I guess it's interesting because forgetting is a very abstract concept. Even if you could probably explain neurochemically what's going on when we remember things, but I guess then could you explain what's going on when we forget things? Probably, I guess. Like you would just say, well, it's the lack of that memory function happening, or I shouldn't just speculate about neuroscience. A lot of this stuff you should just look up. But, well, if I had to say myself, I would probably say, I don't know. I mean, it's a mix. Like there's a lot of things I forget, a lot of things that I just move on from. And, I have a friend from college who has an absurdly good memory. And we talk all the time. And every time we fucking talk, we're talking about random shit. And he'll be like, oh, do you remember Todd? Like, do you remember Todd from fucking, like, I don't know, like he'll remember their full name. Do you know Todd Watson? No, come on, red hair. We hung out with him that one time. I'm like, dude, I don't fucking know. I don't remember that guy. Like, we were doing drugs. Like, what are you talking about? So I definitely forget a lot of things. And I don't recommend doing drugs, by the way. That was just for comedic effect. I forget a lot of things. I definitely, insofar as like, sorry, I didn't mean to say insofar. I'll make amends by not saying insofar again on this episode or ever. Out so far as, well, no, in the sense of like what I was talking about in the video of, forgetting guilt or trauma, I definitely think I like to remember things. It doesn't mean I remember everything. I definitely unconsciously forget things. But if I have the conscious choice, I tend to want to remember things and scrape every lesson possible from them. And then I can move on. And then maybe I forget them more. Maybe I remember them because I scraped them. Okay. Let's take a little break before we continue on to some very interesting comments. I got some very interesting things to talk about, following up on the theme of the podcast of artist biographies. But first, let's check the Verbal Journal mailbag. We got some mail in last week, and I was responding to the mail that we got in. If you'd like to write into verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com. That's verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com. And we do not have anyone writing in today, so we will move right along to the action. So, a lot of people listen to this podcast in general, but especially a lot of people listen to this podcast to hear about the books I'm reading. Sorry, I meant that as a joke, but I didn't really land the tone, so it just sounded serious. This podcast has become sort of themed around, for months I've been reading books about artists and sort of gleaning information from them, learning about people's lives. I've read about Robert Rauschenberg. I've read about Pablo Picasso. I've read about Jackson Pollock. I just finished the Pollock biography, which is what we're going to talk about. I read a little bit of a Mark Rothko biography. I read some about Eva Tanguy, Max Ernst, Jasper Johns, Paul Klee, and a bunch of others. What is it? Hurst or Herschel? What is that guy's name? Cindy Sherman. There were a bunch of contemporary people. James Turrell. Anyway, Turrell. Okay, but anyways, yeah, so I finished the one about Jackson Pollock by B.H. Friedman, and as I said last week, it was an incredibly well-written biography, extremely good. It didn't, make the artist into, the saint. It just kind of gave a really kind of wholehearted, wholesome look, and the author had, spent at least a substantial bit of time around the artist and people who knew the artist and really understood the scene and understood sort of I learned a lot about how Jackson Pollock was sort of thrust into fame and how that affected him and affected his art. It's very sad. He struggled with alcoholism significantly and depression. He did have 2 years where he was totally sober around 1949 to 51-ish. And he made some really great art. It's really sad the way he passed away. It was It was sort of like a freak accident. It was a car accident. He had been in numerous car accidents because he would drive drunk and had really poor judgment. And it just is so sad because, I mean, he also killed someone else in that car crash. The friend of his like mistress, basically, while his wife was traveling, which she knew he was like seeing a mistress, but still, not a, I mean, yeah, he was just seeing this woman like decades younger than him because he was empty inside and wanted to feel connection. And then, it's just like, it's like regressive. It's like not an adult way to live. It just like, it seems like he was not in his own sort of life. He wasn't like present in his own life. It felt like, I guess. I was really interested to like read about just how sort of Jackson Pollock was an interesting mixture of like sensitive and like tough guy. Like he definitely had like, I don't know, sort of some toxic, I guess, like bravado, obviously like very aggressive behavior and violent behavior. Violent, but not violent. He wouldn't necessarily hit people. He would just throw things and break things. But yeah, apparently he didn't hit. Oh no, he might have hit someone. But I remember there's this famous story of someone like hitting him at a bar. It might have been Willem de Kooning, and then someone was like, "Oh, Jackson, you should hit him back," and he's like, "Me? Hit an artist?" So yeah, he's just a very sensitive guy, but very very tough, and it's sad. I mean, I never really thought about it until reading his biography, but it's really interesting to think what he would have made if he lived on. He died in 1956. Like, he was already kind of moving on from the drip painting. So he would have definitely moved on. And imagine what he would have painted in like the 60s or the 70s. Could you imagine if Jackson Pollock was alive in like 1969? Like, what? It's sad. Don't die. That's the lesson that I took away from that book. Don't die. It's not a good call. But especially what jumped out to me from the book is, so there's this one point where Pollock's really like coming up, but before he's like massive fame, like Life article, Time article about him or whatever. There's this part where he gets included in this like sort of panel discussion where a bunch of like famous intellectuals look at artwork, modern artwork, and talk about it. I think with the artist not there. And Aldous Huxley, the famous author, said a really interesting thing about Jackson Pollock's work. And it relates to things I've mentioned before about art. So I wanted to share it. This is Aldous Huxley talking about Jackson Pollock's painting. Okay, so rotate. Okay. Mr. Huxley was less impressed. Said he, "It raises a question of why it stops when it does. The artist could go on forever." Laughter. "I don't know. It seems to me like a panel for a wallpaper, which is repeated indefinitely around the wall." So that's interesting. For me, it was the first part. The when is it finished? Why it stops when it does. That is the thing I've kept thinking about when I look at art. Why does it stop when it does? I think that is the biggest question, and it came up a few times in this book about Pollock because of how abstract his work is. There was another point where someone was looking at his paintings and said, "How do you know when you're finished?" And Jackson Pollock responded, "How do you know when you're finished making love?" Like, that's an anecdote from the book. But like, I thought about that and I was like, but you do know when you're finished making love because you're finished making love when one of the people involved doesn't want to continue making love. So by that logic, you're finished painting when you want to stop painting, I guess. But I mean, I understand his defensiveness, but because it is a question that sort of throws into question the whole artwork itself, but it doesn't have to, but I can see how it would. it's interesting to, like, I look at art all the time and I'm like, oh, how did they know when they were finished? But it doesn't have to be just abstract art. It could be with realistic art, but abstract art is trying to do something different than realistic art. It's described many different ways, but you could see it as instead of representing life, it's kind of demonstrating life or something like that. Like it's you're painting the nature of your painting. You're painting the nature of you painting. The naturalness of you as a person doing an activity called painting is the naturalness that is represented in the painting, rather than the naturalness of what you see with your eyes and try to replicate on the picture plane. But I do think Jackson Pollock's paintings were finished. I mean, when I look at his paintings, I don't think, how do you know when you're finished? I mean, I get at the time people thinking that, like, I've gotten used to abstract art, but it's more common with other art. I don't know. There's just art that looks unfinished, and there's also like an unfinished way that art can be where you're like, oh, that shouldn't be finished. That's just like perfect how it is. But then there's unfinished work where you're like, I don't get why you would be happy with that. It's just art, it's aesthetic. And then, the two biggest art critics at the time of Jackson Pollock were Clement Greenberg and Henry Rosenberg. And it's really funny because the book points out one time, it's like Red Mountain versus Green Mountain, because that's what their names mean, Greenberg and Rosenberg. And they sort of took different perspectives with Jackson Pollock. Clement Greenberg was like his sort of hype man, and then like overly zealous about Jackson Pollock, and probably a big reason why people like fought back against Jackson Pollock, because there was the famous critic being like, his work is amazing. It's like, dude, just calm down about the work, man. But anyways, Henry Rosenberg, in his essay on action painting / Jackson Pollock, said that the question of when a painting is finished is the central one for these types of painters. And he said the answer is at the end of their lifetime. Might be a little melodramatic, but I think he's just, he's saying that the painting is their life and that everything about them can enter the painting. But I say the painting's done when the artist says it's done, and wants it to be done. Doesn't feel like working on it anymore. I have paintings that I would say are done and I would sell, but then I would also totally admit that I'm not sure they're done. So I guess like it's like done, it's provisionally done, like it could work on its own. I could add things to it and enhance it more. So, all right. So what else? And so now I'm reading a biography about Cy Twombly. And he is a very interesting abstract painter, was a very interesting abstract painter, closely associated with Robert Rauschenberg. They dated, actually, for a while, or I don't know if date is the right word to use, but they were intimate and romantic with each other, and they worked sort of in tandem. They traveled together to Rome and to Morocco and some other places. Cy Twombly is a very interesting artist. He was born in Virginia. He lived a lot of his life in Rome. He married into an extremely, extremely rich Italian family, the Franchettis or something. Like there's literally been an expression in parts of Italy, like rich as a Franchetti, and that was before he married into them. So, just like an absolutely like imperially rich Italian family, and he married into them as a gay. Like I don't know if he's gay, maybe he's bi. I haven't really gotten to the point where they explain his like he's married at the part I'm at, but not for long enough. I don't fully get whether he's gay and like it's purely a marriage that's based around other things rather than romantic connection, or he could be bisexual and stuff, but like I'm definitely getting the vibe that he wanted a comfortable life. And it's kind of ironic because they talk about how he didn't like comfort in a variety of ways. He would be a minimalist, blah, blah, blah. But he 100% like wanted to marry into that rich family. Like that's a very clear. He just wanted to travel and make art, which he did. And also, he married into a family with deep connections in the contemporary Italian art scene. So he moves to Italy and he marries into like an extremely connected art family. And it's like, he would, like, there's no way he would have become as successful as he did. So anyways, it's just interesting the way artists make decisions. Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't. And keep in mind, I don't even know whether I like all these artists that I'm talking about. I like learning about them, and I like learning about their lives, and it makes me think a lot about my life and how I want things to go and how I want to devote myself to my art and when and why and who and where and what. Anyways, I'll tell you more about Twombly soon. He's a very interesting guy. You should look up his art. It's like very unique and scrawls of like little handwriting script and like scratches and scrawls and scratches and scrawls. Article about CSI testing authenticating Pollock's final work. Yeah, this was interesting because there's this work that they found fur and like tested it and found that it was from the rug from Jackson Pollock's Hampton's home. So it allowed them to know that this his mistress that I was talking about, Ruth Kligman, did have an original Jackson Pollock, and they figured that out by testing the fur and finding that it was the same fur as Jackson Pollock's rug. So very interesting. That can wait for next episode. Oh wow, I got a few notifications on Blue Sky. Follow me on Blue Sky. Follow me on Blue Sky. www.bluesky.gov. Fuck, that's not the right. Little update with the baseball. Dodgers got another major player. They got Yamamoto. That's gonna be fucking crazy. There's so many chess updates. I don't think I want to go into it. I'm gonna have a lot of interesting things to talk about next week. I got something related to Bob Odenkirk from his interview with David Cross, where he talks about Better Call Saul a little bit. Got a lot of chess updates that I don't feel like going into now because I want to give them the time they need, and some other stuff. But we'll leave it there for now. I don't want to do too much today. I want to get going, and I got a few other things to do. But thanks so much for watching, and write in. Let me know what you're thinking about your experience with the VJP, and I'll talk to you next week. All right. Merry Christmas and happy holiday and New Year. Okay. Bye. This is a podcast or something like that.